In this lesson, we're going to be talking about other ways that you could extend Metasploit. Since you actually have access to all of the code for all of the modules, it's pretty easy to go about extending Metasploit to do pretty much anything that you want. So what I've actually got here is I've got a script that I actually wrote here called bad UDP. And I took a different script as the framework, and then I just went through and made all of the changes that I needed to make in order to do what I wanted it to do. I've got the name here as a bad UDP scanner, and I've got register options. So these are the options that would show up. And in this case, I'm looking at a remote port of 9876. Now, the reason for actually doing this is on a different server here, I've actually got a UDP server that's written in Java that's just going to sit here, and it's actually going to receive input on UDP port 9876. And what it's going to do is it's going to reverse that and then send it back. So you can see we've set up a UDP socket here, or a UDP server on port 9876. So what I'm doing is I'm going to scan the network in order to find any system that's running that particular server. Here I create a socket, and I've got my context, and then what I do is I send a packet saying hello. What it does is it just echoes it back. Basically, we're just looking for the two characters here from the packet that we've sent. So I can get out of this, and now I can run MSF console, and remember that the script is called bad UDP. Since I've put it into the file system in the place where it expects to be, actually Metasploit is going to be able to find it for me, and it's going to turn it up just as it can with any other plugin or module, and I'll be able to do a search and then use it exactly as I would with any other plugin or module that Metasploit had. So again, I've got access to all of these scripts that have already been written. There's a pretty good chance that there's a script somewhere in existence within the Metasploit tree that may do something similar enough to something you want to do that you can actually use it as a framework, so you don't actually have to start completely from scratch writing these Metasploit plugins. You've actually got some pretty good templates and some pretty good examples for what you may want to do. Now I'm going to search for bad UDP, and it's going to turn that up. So I'm going to say use auxiliary scanner bad UDP, and I left a part out. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so now I'm going to show my options, and I'm going to have our hosts and our port here. So I'm going to set our hosts 172.30.42.0/24, and now I'm just going to run it. And strangely enough, it thinks it found something on the network address, and not really sure what response it got there on .0 that made it think that it actually received anything there. But eventually we should actually turn up a bad UDP service on the .55 address here as well. So it's going to run through all of the scan and do all 256 hosts, and pretty shortly here we should come up on 55, although probably it's going to go through scanned 52 of 256 hosts, because it looks like it's doing updates every 10%. So shortly after the second update message, we ought to get an indication that we had received or found the bad UDP service here, and sure enough we did. Found bad UDP service on 172.30.42.55. So you can see you've got some pretty good ability to add your own scripts into Metasploit to do different things like exploits and discoveries and scans and any number of other things that you may want to be able to do. And again, you don't have to start from scratch. There's a pretty good variety of scripts that are available already that you can use both as templates and as learning tools, so you can see how Metasploit and Ruby actually work with what they do, and you should be able to get up and running writing your own scripts pretty quickly.